Remember when we said right under that $22 level is the lowest GameStop is going to go because that is basically where they're going to be able to buy back the entire float if they wanted to. Not that they are going to, but if they wanted to. Well, we kind of just got confirmation today. SPY is continuing to sell off red on the day, as well as altcoins are bleeding pretty hard, and Bitcoin is also bleeding along with Ethereum. But AMC was slightly green and it's basically flat, and GameStop is basically flat as well, showing that there really isn't room to push them lower. And if they did break lower, or at least if GameStop broke lower, it would easily get bought up, and it's probably not a good idea to trade down at those levels. Now, there was a few different things that I wanted to talk about, but one main thing was the Jackson Hole event where Powell is talking tomorrow. And I really want to talk about this. The market is selling off hard today, and there's a couple of reasons it's selling off hard. But the main reason, or what people want you to think the main reason is the odds of the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates in September fell to 57%, according to crypto prediction platform Polymarket and some other markets as well. Now, this was up over 98%. Odds of a rate cut coming in September. Now, Powell is talking tomorrow, and here's what's likely going to happen. He's likely going to come out and say, well, first of all, look at these catalysts we have. August CPE or PCE coming out on the 29th, Friday. August CPI coming out September 11th, rate decision coming out after that, and maybe these dates end up changing. But this is what Powell has said, and this is what he has been saying and likely will say, and it's that rate cuts will be data dependent. Now, there's a bigger picture to this. The Federal Reserve reverse repo is down to its lowest levels in 4 years. The amount in 2023 was over $2 trillion, and now it sits at just 20 to 30 billion. You can see a major collapse in the reverse repo all the way down to where we are now in 2025. Now, the market's priced in multiple Fed cuts for 2025. When cut odds fall, which is what's happening today, markets or risk assets are going to wobble, which is what you're seeing today, and it's happening currently, but it's not the only reason. The bigger picture is the hidden fuel that was pumping these markets. A lot of people were wondering how the market had such a harsh V-shaped recovery from back in April to where we are at now, and it's bigly due to this, right? The hidden fuel pumping markets wasn't just rate cut hopes. That's part of it. It was the reverse repo drain. 2.5 trillion parked at the Fed, flowed into markets as it emptied, and now we're sitting at 20 to 30 billion. So reverse repo is nearing zero, so that means no more stealth liquidity or these obscene pumps. This also, on top of that, this is a separate topic. CTAs are nearing maxed out, at least for buying pressure, right? These algorithms have to match the liquidity that has and is able to enter these markets. And when that liquidity is capping out, algorithms cannot purchase anymore. Now, here are a couple of scenarios. If we get cuts, the market will melt up or rip, right? Kinda. And if we get a delayed cut, aka a cut later in 2025, the markets will chop sideways and maybe bleed a little bit, kinda. And then if we get higher for longer, no cuts, we get into a crash, kinda. Now, all of these say kinda because they are also data dependent. Well, first of all, let's talk about if we get cuts. Cuts will make the market fly higher, in my personal opinion, but not as they have been with stealth liquidity. This is going to be a short squeeze. If Powell hints at cuts, shorts are going to get out. That's how markets are going to pump. If they delay cuts, the markets are not only going to chop, I think they're going to bleed. And they're going to bleed because that liquidity isn't there. That fuel isn't there. The reverse repo market is emptied, and there's no reason to prop up the markets towards the end of the year. And we're probably going to get a harder correction, 10 to 20%. Higher for longer, no rate cuts or quantitative tightening or something along the lines of that. Yes, we're crashing. In my humble opinion, do I think that's a scenario that's going to happen? No. Too long didn't read. With RRP tapped out, every Fed decision matters more. Liquidity is the real Fed put. Now, let's talk about some technicals very quickly. SPY's trading at 634.80. It's still holding its uptrend trend line, believe it or not. So I wanted to point this out alongside Bitcoin. Everybody is in panic mode. Bitcoin, SPY, Ethereum, some main players that we're looking at, they are all in this sort of sell-off that are freaking people out. But if you take a look at the macro picture, this is consolidation. Unfortunately, this is consolidation. SPY's down 2%. Very healthy correction. That always happens. You always get 2% corrections in the market. And we are still holding its higher high, higher low trend line that it has been forming since back here in May. Okay, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 tests right now. There's no saying we won't break under. I'm just saying it's holding that. As far as Bitcoin goes, you're holding that $112,000 level. Yeah, it's an important level. If you break under 11,800, things are going to get very, very ugly for Bitcoin, in my personal opinion. But it also could be very much so a fake out. Tomorrow is going to be an important day. If the day comes out where Powell is bullish, then things are going to have this perfect bounce off of these trend lines or wicks lower, right? I also wanted to point out that several things are at key levels right around the 50 where they could be due for a bounce as well. Now, there are still some ugly pictures, especially on altcoins, showing that we are in a spot for a sell-off. Ethereum's not really showing anything concerning to me. We came back down, we based off of all-time highs, and we're getting a little bit of a cool-off candle based off of how much market uncertainty there is, but it's still only down 2%. I want you to keep an eye on MicroStrategy as well. This came all the way down below the 200 moving average right now, and I think this is one that is going to have a big opportunity going forward. High risk, high reward, right? Obviously, it's MicroStrategy or strategy now. But I think last time we hit this in September, strategy had a very, very, very beautiful, beautiful run of about 376%. I'm not saying the same thing is coming. I also want to state that full panic isn't set in. Bitcoin ETF inflows versus outflows aren't too crazy. There was a lot of outflows over the last week or so, but we saw that recently. We saw that several times in the past, and all it did was warn us of a very, very, very short correction. Same thing goes for Ethereum. We saw a very short correction right here from 3,800 down to 3,400. Let me pull up Ethereum's chart. Right here is when those ETF outflows hit, and it's the same exact correction as we're seeing right now. So again, this is all consolidation, and I hope that calms you down a little bit. On top of that, when the Fed cuts interest rates within 2% of stock market all-time highs, which is exactly where we are at right now. If I take the highs of the market, we are down about 2%. What's so interesting about this? The S&P 500 has gone on to finish higher following that over the next 12 months, 20 out of 20 times, a 100% hit rate. Now, I also wanted to touch on GameStop very briefly. $22.50 is max pain for the end of the week. Guys, I will be busy tomorrow. I'm going to attempt to get a video up, but if I can't, I just want to let you know, $22.50 is max pain. Market makers are gonna likely attempt to close it below this, which is where we're trading at right now. However, if Jackson Hole is good, then we should see some movement to the upside. Overall, what I can tell you right now is we are in a very, very sketchy market, and it all depends on what Powell has to say. I think, I personally think Powell is going to come out maybe neutral, maybe dovish, and reason being is because if he doesn't, then markets are going to feel the impact, and at that point, the Fed's going to have to step in anyway. So it really doesn't make sense to kind of spook the markets any more than they already are spooked. Again, like I said, I think more so going into the weekend bullish is a better bet in my personal opinion. I don't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Also, XRT still on the threshold securities list, and this is reported for yesterday. So if it is also on the list today, Thursday, as we're recording this video, but it has a T+1, so we won't know until tomorrow, then that is technically the 13-day forced closeout period. What has to happen? Well, there are a couple implications. We made a video on this, but essentially the normal thing that would have to happen is coming in and buying grabbing GameStop shares to fulfill their obligations over there. But there's a lot of supply available to borrow, apparently, according to Chart Exchange on AMC and GameStop. So they just take advantage of the loophole unless there's a catalyst that sucks the supply, and then they have to deliver real shares into XRT. It's a complicated system. But overall, earnings are first, second week of September, somewhere in that range. And I believe September 9th, but I don't think we've heard anything from the company. Yeah. So this is the video I got for you. Hopefully it helped. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. There's a lot of important key factors right now. What has to happen for us to head into this bullish market? I do want to state there is, again, reiterating, record short positions on small caps as well as Ethereum. Okay. If we get a very, very dovish Powell, then, sorry for the lip smacking, then GameStop, AMC, Ethereum, meme coins, we skyrocket, right? We run higher. That is it, guys. I love you all. God bless. I won't drag this on too long. Make sure to join my Discord server. It's a top link in the description of the video. I also put something together for you. This is a playlist for any newbies. I put together a playlist of videos that I think are very important that I've made over the years that will basically help you if you're a somewhat beginner trader or investor. This should help you with options. This should help you with trading in general and using TradingView and finding short squeeze plays and trading with a small account. And I will be making more to that as well. But yeah, go check out that playlist. I'll try to leave it right here. I love you all. God bless. Lottery Stocks out.